"How could you have kept this to yourself all these years?" I exclaimed, falling to my knees in front of the cupboard.
"Very easily," said Colin dryly.
I flapped a dismissive hand in his general direction without interrupting my perusal. I scooted forwards to see better, tilting my head sideways to try to read the typed labels someone had glued to the spines a long time ago, if their yellowed state and the shape of the letters were anything to go by. The documents seemed to be roughly organized by person and date. The ancient labels said things like Lord Richard Selwick, 1776 to 1841, correspondence, miscellaneous, 1801 to 1802, or Selwick Hall, household accounts, 1800 to 1806. Bypassing the household accounts, I kept looking. I reached for a folio at random, drawing it carefully out from its place next to a little pocket-sized book bound in worn red leather.
"I'll leave you to it, shall I?" said Colin.
"Mm-hmm." The folio was a type I recognized from the British Library. Older documents pasted onto the leaves of a large blank book, with annotations around the edges in a much later hand. On the first page, an Edwardian hand had written in slanting script, Correspondence of Lady Henrietta Selwick, 1801 to 1803.
"Dinner in an hour?"
"Mm-hmm." I flipped deliberately towards the back, scanning salutations and dates. I was looking for references to two things, the Pink Carnation, or the School for Spies, founded by the Purple Gentian and his wife, after necessity forced them to abandon active duty. Neither the Pink Carnation nor the spy school had been in operation much before May of 1803. Wedging the volume back into place, I jiggled the next one out from underneath, hoping that they had been stacked in some sort of chronological order.
"Arsenic, with a side of cyanide?"
"Mm-hmm." They had. The next folio down comprised Lady Henrietta's correspondence from March of 1803 to the following November. Perfect. On the edge of my consciousness, I heard the library door close. Scooting backwards, I sat down heavily on the floor next to the open cupboard, the folio splayed open in my lap. Nestled in the middle of Henrietta's correspondence was a letter in a different hand. Where Henrietta's script was round, with loopy letters and the occasional flourish, this writing was regular enough to be a computer simulation of script. Without the aid of technological enhancement, the writing spoke of an orderly hand and an even more orderly mind. More importantly, I knew that handwriting. I had seen it in Mrs. Selwick Alderley's collection, between Amy Balcourt's sloppy scrawl and Lord Richard's emphatic hand. I didn't even have to flip to the signature on the following page to know who had penned it, but I did anyway. Your affectionate cousin, Jane. There are any number of Janes in history, most of them as gentle and unassuming as their name. Lady Jane Grey, the ill-fated 7-day Queen of England. Jane Austen, the sweet-faced authoress, lionized by English majors and the BBC costume drama watching set. And then there was Miss Jane Wollaston, better known as the Pink Carnation. I clutched the binding of the folio as though it might scuttle away if I loosened my grip, refraining from making squealing noises of delight. Colin probably already thought I was a mad woman, without my providing him any additional proof, but I was squealing inside. As far as the rest of the historical community was concerned, I indulged in a bit of personal gloating. The only surviving references to the Pink Carnation were mentions in newspapers of the period, not exactly the most reliable report. Indeed, there were even scholars who opined that the Pink Carnation did not in fact exist, that the escapades attributed to the mythical flower figure over a 10-year period, stealing a shipment of gold from under Bonaparte's nose, burning down a French boot factory, spiriting away a convoy of munitions in Portugal during the Peninsular War, to name just a few, had been the work of a number of unrelated actors. The Pink Carnation, they insisted, was something like Robin Hood, a useful myth, perpetuated to keep people's morale up during the grim days of the Napoleonic Wars, when England stood staunchly alone as the rest of Europe tumbled under Napoleon's sway. Weren't they in for a surprise? I knew who the Pink Carnation was, thanks to Mrs. Selwick Alderley, but I needed more. I needed to be able to link Jane Wollaston to the events attributed to the Pink Carnation by the news sheets, to provide concrete proof that the Pink Carnation had not only existed, but had been continuously in operation throughout that period. The letter in my lap was an excellent start. A reference to the Pink Carnation would have been good. A letter from the Pink Carnation herself was even better. Greedily I skimmed the first few lines. Dearest cousin, Paris has been a whirl of gaiety since last I wrote, with scarcely a moment to rest between engagements.